So it's been 900 miles with the Inmotion P6. I thought I'd talk about it for a little bit. Talk about the suspension, the power, the speed, the overall experience of riding the Inmotion P6. Here are my thoughts. Going into the first thing, which is the body itself, there goes the light. It does have an automatic shut off. It's a pretty large body for what I've been riding for the past few years. I started off on an EXN, and the EXN is probably a third of the size now compared to this thing, right? From the EXN, I went up to the EX30, a little bit more comparable, but I feel like the body of the P6 is actually a little bit is larger than the EX30. I haven't had one side by side yet, but it feels bigger as far as the body goes. And after the EX30, it was the Master, and after the Master V4, it was the Griffin. From Extreme Bull over to the Blitz Pro that I rode briefly, and none of those wheels truly can compare to what this has been for the past 900 miles. Now, rolling back to what this thing is capable of, it's like super fast. Obviously, it's 235 volts on a motor that peaks at 20 kilowatt, which is kind of insane. I don't think I've dipped it yet, which is kind of insane to say because I have slowly trusted it more, throwing my body into it and leaned harder and harder as I've gotten into these 900 miles, to the point where last week I was on my way to grab lunch at work and I was going down PCH and I jammed it from 0 to 71 miles an hour so quickly I thought I was Maxwell Burger there for a second. But no, I'm kidding. But I sent it, I looked down, I saw the speed I was doing, and I think I got there so quickly I thought I would have dipped by the time I got to 71, 72 miles an hour, which I didn't, which was kind of insane. So all in all, it's just an insane package compared to what I've experienced with the wheels I've had in the past. So I'm just trying to paint a picture of what it's been like riding the Inmotion P6. Overall, the wheel is bigger, the wheel is heavier, but the wheel is faster and it has more range. It's kind of insane to say. I do have to say though, there are some things that I don't like. For example, the headlight isn't really the strongest headlight that I've seen out. I think wheels like the Link maybe or the Sherman L might have brighter overall headlight, but I do kind of like that this one's kind of like a half moon shape. So when I do set it up the way I want to, it lights up the road, and like I can like set it up where I know that it's not going to blind somebody driving in the opposite direction. So it's kind of a nice thing that it is a half moon shape. Although I gotta say it's not really the brightest light that I've seen, and or not the most, I would say, accommodating, but the most useful light. Another complaint that I do have about it is I'm a really lazy person when it comes to owning things and using things and specifically charging things. And I've always just simply plugged them in at the end of the day, wake up in the morning, and I've been able to use them without worrying about really anything other than unplugging it and going to ride with a battery that's at 100% battery. So that changes a little bit with my experience with this one, where when you do plug it in, the screen turns on and it tells you the percentage and it tells you the voltage, which is a great thing. You want to see that. Though I think what happens once it gets fully charged, the wheel will continue to keep the display on, but because it has a smart doohickey in the charge port that has communication with the charger, where once it reaches 100%, it completely stops charging. There, it's not really the same. It just shuts off. What I'm trying to get at is that when I plug the wheel in at night and I open the garage and I see it in the morning, the display will still be on, but it won't be at that 235 volt. It'll be like 232, only because the display has been on for maybe a handful of hours once the wheel actually came to a complete full charge. Small things really, and not really any reason to not buy a P6, in my opinion. It's not a strong enough reason to be like, oh my God, this thing sucks. Because quite the contrary, this wheel has been an absolute blessing to kind of hit our little sport, right? Our goofy little sport. When I just like think about what I've done with this wheel as far as pulling the power out of it, climbing up a steep hill like Signal Hill or Skyline Drive here in Long Beach, and the fact that it just doesn't care or just kind of keep power has been pretty insane. So overall, you're not just paying for like a badass product. At the end of the day, you can say it's $5,000. Why would I spend that much money? But you got to think about what these people put money and invested into, right? They invested money into having local guys, right? To me, it's like my buddies, Brian from San Diego, right? Maxwell Burger, local boy from Iowa here in Orange County, right? Our boy Zach, also a Californian, and our boy Aaron from Philly. These are all my buddies that this company invested money into, to trust them, to have them bring a product that just doesn't fucking compare to anything that's out there, because they've used all of their feedback, all of their experience, all of the good and the bad and the ugly that's came with having wheels in the past, and they took all those good things, all those good knowledge, all those good ideas, and they poured them into the P6. Now the wheel's not perfect, but this wheel has elevated the standard to making a new wheel in our goofy little sport, right? Because if another company comes in and tries to make something good or gooder than a product like this, then it means no random cutout. It means lean your heart out into the wheel and it won't dip and it won't cut out, which those two things have been the biggest limiting factor in our, again, goofy little sport. So I think they did a great job with this wheel. I think the cons that I have personally in those last 900 miles are absolutely outweighed by all the pros of this crazy goofy device that does 93 miles an hour, which I haven't touched yet. I haven't touched 80, but that's the next goal. So let's try that. Let's try to go for 80 and let's make it look good. Ciao!